I have not seen almost every one of you face to face in a year. And also, there are so many people that have joined us that we've never met face to face. My boss at work, I've been working for her for 10 months, never met her face to face. And it's still like the system is in shock. And at the same time, we're adjusting to these things very rapidly. So this is certainly a strange time. And many of us have had losses, profound losses, or we know people who did. We know people who suffered profoundly through this, whether health or economically. So many bad things happened. And yet at the same time, I remember one of our first guest speakers, Greg Lavoie, one of our first guest speakers on Zoom, he came out and said, this is a wonderful time. He's really enjoying it. And I began to hear that perspective from other people, that this is a wonderful healing time, almost like a retreat that's been forced on us. The climate is getting a chance to heal. And isn't that a good thing? How we can go outside and see these clear sunsets. Political healing was starting to happen. The healing of racial divides was starting to happen. So the good and the bad. And I think it all comes down to perspective. Perspective really makes the difference. Jen DeFreitas shared a quote on Facebook from Amy Weatherly that I'd like to read to you. It says, some people could be given an entire field of roses and only see the thorns in it. Others could be given a single weed, but only see the wildflower in it. And so it's all about perspective. Is this a lockdown event? Or is this a retreat? Is this a pandemic? Or is this a miracle? Is this the worst thing that's ever happened? Or is this a healing? A healing coming on, right? And I'd say, yes, it depends how you view it. And so for me, I've been looking back at the pandemic through the lens of one word, through the lens of honoring. I had a dear friend who told me that you need to honor what needs to be honored. That sounds simple, but when you honor what needs to be honored, she said that these things, they come up, they surface so you can look at them and then they go out, right? It's this healing process. They come up, you look at them, you honor them, and you're ready to move them on to the next thing. And the first thing I had to honor was grief. I had some losses over the last year, and I was taking a walk yesterday, and I began to cry. And I don't know why that happened. You know, just all of a sudden the tears came. And then after that ended, I looked up, and for the first time in my complex, I saw a hummingbird flying around me. And it was flying around me, and then it just stopped and hovered about 10 feet in front of my face. And it was looking right at me, nothing else. It was pointing its beak right towards me. And I couldn't believe it. And it flew away, and I turned around, and what did I see? I saw the most beautiful yellow swallowtail butterfly flopping its huge wings, flying around my complex. And I'm thinking, gosh, I'm just used to seeing wasps and cockroaches around here. I'm not used to seeing these wonderful symbolic animals, creatures, hummingbirds and butterflies. But it said to me that everything is going to be okay. All is going to be well. And that in the honoring of this grief, I know it's a good thing, and that will come and then it will go. It will ebb and it will flow. The next thing I had to honor, I was thinking about honoring myself. And I've been thinking about this over time. And one of the things that I do to honor myself, the easiest ways to do that is to just remember to be gentle. Be gentle with yourself and realize that all the ups and downs, all the successes and failures, all the things that you're under pressure to do, all the feelings that you have about what's going on in the world, everyone is experiencing these things together. Everyone is feeling awkward. Everyone is feeling moments of confusion. Everyone feels these ebbs and flows where you wake up one day just not feeling right. And then you come out of it. It ebbs and flows. It's just part of the natural healing process. And who would not be going through that during this historic, crazy time? It's affecting all of us. So honoring that and being gentle with yourself. Our guest speaker, Reverend Elisa Bloom Robinson, a few weeks ago was talking about another way of honoring. And she talked about honoring the guest, welcoming and inviting in the things in your life as if you're opening the door to them in the manner of how you would open the door to a guest. And she quoted Rumi. And I'm going to read this poem from Rumi. It's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And I just thought that was wonderful. And what I'm opening the door to personally is healing. I had to allow and open the door for healing to happen and realize that if I just allowed it and noticed it, that healing is happening. We're not static individuals going through this. Healing is happening. Healing is always abundant and happening in our lives. And especially as the normal routines in our lives change, it's very meditative. As you shake up the normal routines of getting out of traffic and getting out of the same work patterns, and as you find yourself doing new things that you've never done before, your brain changes. And for me, my dreams started to change. And I noticed that there was this emptying out where I started to dream of things that I hadn't dreamt about for a long time or ever. I dreamt about events in my childhood. I dreamt about times when I was teaching drumming to youth groups when I was younger, or when I was participating in youth groups and traveling around the country. I dreamt of traveling. I dreamt of past relationships. And these turned into daydreams, and I began to go through old photos and find, just digging up memories. And with everything, with every box of memories and box of photos, and with every dream, there was something being brought forth to heal, to reveal itself. And in the dreams about drumming, I actually, I have hand drums all over the place, but I didn't have a pair of drumsticks handy. So I bought a pair of drumsticks and a drum pad because I realized that that was my touchstone to an old part of myself where I could get power from, where I could feel this sense of aliveness. Is there something like that you've taken up or rediscovered or discovered for the first time that is a touchstone for you into a place of power, into a place of healing, into a place of self-confidence, into a place of fun? Is there something that's a touchstone for you now that wasn't so before? The next way of honoring is simply noticing. And I've just been observing some subtle changes in me. And one of the things that's always been an opportunity area for me is caring too much about what people think. As Don Miguel Ruiz says, don't take everything personally. And I've noticed more of a sense of, my wish a year ago, I prayed to be more unflappable, to be more resilient. And I've noticed that subtly, there are things that I would have cared about before, or things that I would have ruminated on for days that now I ruminate on for a half an hour. That's progress. That's wonderful. So it's noticing as a form of honoring. Have you noticed anything subtle about you that has taken place over the last year? And I wanted to talk about a final way of honoring, and that is to do something just for you. You could call it a self-care practice. It could be, taking the meditation class with Connie. It could be a new spiritual practice. It could be a new ritual, right? For me, I developed a couple of these things. Rick Hansen, I believe he's a psychologist and an author, he said that being able to self-activate positive experiences to call up inner strengths at will is fundamental to coping, well-being, and everyday effectiveness. With practice, these experiences and strengths will increasingly activate on their own. So he talks about self-activating. That means you create these, you make them happen. You create your own positive little party, whatever that's going to be. And so for me, these positive practices, one of them is walking. So every month now in the pandemic, I've walked more steps each month than the month before. And I feel it's a goal and it's a little kind of a game, but it helps me sleep. It helps me get out and connect with nature. It helps me get some sun. It helps me, it's walking meditation or zazen, right? As some would call it. The other one that I started was I decided to put up sticky pads on the refrigerator and my bathroom mirror again with affirmations, right? Now I've got to take them down when the repair people come over because that's not cool. But it's such a wonderful practice to put a sticky pad right on your bathroom mirror that just says I love you on it, or I'm strong. Just simple affirmations, simple I am statements. And that was a self-care practice that I started. So how has your self-care practice changed over the last year? How has your spiritual practice changed or shifted? So in conclusion, I say, let's honor what needs to be honored. I honor this community. I think that's another self-care practice. We come here as a part of our self-care routine because we always get exposed to new ideas, new thoughts, and there is a healing power in community. I was talking with Michael Beckwith last week before the workshop, and he said, we were talking about the studies that have been done, the people of Okinawa and other studies where longevity is the highest in the world. They've discovered one thing about those communities that is a commonality, and that is they all have social communities that they are involved with. And there are some amazing stats on the increase in longevity that is provided by participating in social community. So that's another way to increase self-care. Honoring yourself. So with that, why don't we go into a moment of prayer? Noticing what needs to be noticed. I changed my perspective about the events of the world, about the events as they have affected me. I look at them through the lens of honoring. I make sure that I'm gentle with myself, loving with myself, opening the door to healing like a welcome guest, noting subtle changes and maybe changes not so subtle, honoring myself with self-care and new rituals. I'm ready. I'm ready for this metamorphosis, this slow metamorphosis that is happening, this healing that is happening as me. And I'm so deeply grateful for noticing this, for being aware of this, and for cultivating this in my life. And so it is.
Come as you are, bring every burden. Come as you are, bring all your shame. Come as you are, I know you're hurting, but when you call upon his name and surrender, you'll never be the same. Come as you are, all who are broken. Come as you are, and find his grace. Come as you are, his arms are open. Let go and let God just have his way and surrender. And you'll never be the same. Never be the same. Come as you are, your past is over. Come as you are, break every chain. Come as you are, he holds your future. All things are new. This is your day to surrender. Surrender, and you'll never be the same. Oh, you'll never ever be the same. Come as you are, oh, come as you are. Doesn't matter where you've been or the color of your skin. Doesn't matter, oh no. Come as you are, come as you are.